A migrant sex offender who was mistakenly released from prison was given £500 to be deported.
Yes, it's understood that Hadush Kebatu was paid to facilitate his flight in a peaceful manner.
He arrived back in Ethiopia this morning after being forcibly removed from the UK with no right to return to Britain.
Well, we're now joined by GB News' Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, I think most people will be frankly shocked that not only was this person in prison for a measly 4 months, but actually he was paid to leave.
Well, there's no doubt about it. You just need to look at the reaction from our viewers. It is absolutely a reaction that is one of incredulity and real anger among our audience. And you can understand why. I think most people would think that rewarding a sex offender in this way so that they would leave the country in a compliant manner is deeply, deeply unpalatable. What I will say is that sources have told me that the way in which this appears to have played out, and it's extraordinary way because I was in Chelmsford Magistrates Court just last month and sat 5 feet away from this man as he spoke through his legal team there and said, he wanted to go back to Ethiopia, pleaded with the judge to let him go back to Ethiopia. But it seems that he was advised that he would be able to cash in on this facilitated return scheme. Now, that's a return scheme that operates for those that are being removed from the country, either foreign national offenders like he was, or immigration overstayers and the like. And it's meant to ensure that they compliantly leave the country, they don't try to fight this out through the courts and cost the UK taxpayer a lot of money. So it's a payment of up to £1,500. And it appears that Hadush Kebatu, having been advised that he could cash in on this scheme, applied for it. And in his application process had effectively made threats that he was going to become increasingly non-compliant, not necessarily causing disruption on the flight, but that may well have happened, but certainly threatening that he was likely to withdraw from his readiness to be deported and would try to challenge this in the courts. And it was at that point that an operational decision was made not to pay him £1,500 but to pay him £500. But listen, it's deeply unpalatable. No one wants to see anybody rewarded, let alone the most notorious sex offender in the country at the moment, the man who, through his actions of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl and a grown woman, caused the disruption that we saw at the Bell Hotel that spread right around the country.
Mark, just before we let you go, very, very briefly, am I to take from what you just said, he was advised that he could apply for this payment? Could it have been some migrant charity or legal team told him how to fleece the taxpayer by threatening disruption? I mean, that is the most extraordinary story, if so.
That type of detail has not been provided to me, just that he filled out the application form and that clearly he was advised. Of course he's going to be advised. He wouldn't necessarily know about the details of a scheme like this. But yes, it could have been a migrant charity, it could have been a human rights lawyer. There is a wraparound service provided for these migrants that cross illegally into the UK where they get all manner of advice. And had he decided that he actually wanted to stay and to fight this, he would, I'm sure, have been ultimately unsuccessful, but it would have dragged this out. And I think that's what officials would like out there as a narrative. But as I say, people do not want to see an individual like this rewarded in any way, which he has just been to the tune of £500, a lot of money in Ethiopia.
OK, Mark White, thank you very much. Yeah, they have leaflets and everything in all the different languages so they know what to do and how to do it.
How to fleece the British taxpayer.
This is how you do it, and we're paying for them as well. But if it's a lawyer, it might be in their best interest because, of course, that comes through the expense of the taxpayer. But,
or if it's a migrant charity, they don't pay tax because they're a charitable organisation.
Exactly.
God.
Right, well, GB News' political editor Christopher Oak joins us live from Westminster Hall. He's also joined by Reform MP for Ashfield, Lee Anderson. Christopher.
Yeah, that's right. Joining me now is Lee Anderson, who is, of course, the Chief Whip for Reform UK and the MP for Ashfield. Lee Anderson, your reaction to the payment of £500 to Hadush Kebatu to leave the UK?
It's staggering, Chopper. This is another £500 of taxpayers' money. Bear in mind, I think this individual came into the country, I think it was June this year, pretty much straight away committed an awful act, two awful acts actually, sent to prison, costing the taxpayer probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds, then mistakenly released and given money to get on his way, recaptured. This individual has cost the taxpayer goodness knows what, and just to rub the taxpayer's nose in it, we bung him another £500 to get on a plane along with 5 members of staff to take him back from whence he came. It's an absolute kick in the teeth for the British taxpayer. Well,
the government say it's best value for money. They say had they not done this, there could have been disruption, the flight could have been cancelled, it would have cost several thousands of pounds. So it's £500 now against several thousand pounds and more delays later.
It's weak, Chopper, and it's spineless and it's pathetic. Pair of handcuffs on, get him on there with one security guard and take him back to where he came from. I don't want these creatures in my country. And all the Labour government are doing at the moment is gaslighting the British public. This individual, like I say, has probably cost us hundreds of thousands of pounds. And I tell you what, this is how daft it is at the moment. What's stopping this creature getting on another dinghy and coming back later on this year?
Can't say creature, he's a human being like we all are.
Well, you know what, somebody who commits horrific crimes like that, Chopper, in my book, is a creature.
The victims, we're not sure what the victims got in terms of from the taxpayer, but how will it feel to them to see their perpetrator being given £500 of taxpayers' money to leave the UK, plus, of course, the air ticket?
Well, again, it's the taxpayer that's footing the bill, and probably the victims and the victims' families. These are people in this country who's putting the shift in every day and who are footing the bill for this perpetrator, shall we say, this criminal, to go back. It's absolutely disgusting. And like I say, Chopper, I think this Labour government are gaslighting the British public. They don't have to give this man £500 to go home. That's just ridiculous.
But if you were in power and had that choice between £500 now against several £1,000, a delayed flight, more legal battles, you'd take the £500?
There'd be no legal battle, Shop. It'd be straight on a plane and it'd be gone, as simple as that.
Why are you so sure of that?
But I am absolutely positive that a reform-led government under Nigel Farage will not tolerate this nonsense. I will not pander to the lefty activists. Yeah,
well, everyone's got legal rights though, and he could have gone through the courts and tried and frustrated it.
He gave up his rights by committing these awful crimes in this country, Chopper. Be under no illusions. We will not tolerate this. He'll be on a plane and he'll be gone.
So many politicians have said the same. So many people have let down our viewers and listeners to GB News. Why aren't you the same?
Because we're completely different, Chopper. We mean what we say. Too many politicians in this place have been spineless, they've been weak, and they've not carried out the will of the British people. We will carry out the will of the British people. We will send these people back to where they came. No ifs, no buts. They're gone.
Just quickly on the big news from the PMQ session we heard there, the PM now is not ruling out an increase in national insurance for employees, VAT or income tax. That risks, well, would be, if it happens, another broken manifesto promise.
Yeah, well, nobody can believe a word they say at the moment, Chopper. It is, as you say, it's breaking their manifesto pledges from last year. And again, it's going to be the hard-working British taxpayer that foots the bill on a day where we've spoken about reforms to the welfare bill just this morning, where we want to save the taxpayer up to £35 billion on PIP payments. What are this government doing? They're attacking the normal, decent, hard-working people that go out and put a shift in every day. And I tell you what, if the VAT increases in this country, it will affect the worst off the most. It's absolutely shocking.
Historically, Labour always cut the VAT and Tories have put it up. But income tax, to push one of those taxes up to get the money you need to fill a black hole of 25 billion or so, has to be the basic rate, doesn't it?
Well, you know, I mean, historically, I don't like to say this, but probably Labour politicians back in the day were a little bit more savvy than the ones we've got at the moment, and I think they're pretty clueless. I think Rachel, I can't say Rachel from accounts, can I? She's Rachel from she's the Exchequer.
Rachel from the Treasury.
Rachel from the Treasury, not Rachel from accounts. But I think she's pretty clueless at the moment. I think the whole front bench are clueless, and they take the easy option, and that's to take money off the hard-working British public, and it's shameful.
We heard again attacks on your leader Nigel Farage. Annalise Midley accused, I think it was a claim about dismantling the NHS. Ed Davey talking about, of course, your former colleague in Reform UK who has been convicted for links to the Russians, Nathan Gill, and that allowed the PM to say, well, Reform would present a Putin-friendly government. He said that twice. Is Nigel Farage a friend of Putin?
Well, I don't think he is. I think that Nigel's gone on the record many, many times, and it's a bit rich of people like Sir Keir Starmer saying ridiculous things like this. Let's not forget he was once a friend of Jeremy Corbyn.
That is different to Putin.
Well,
it is different to Putin.
Well, opinions differ.
Also a threat to NATO, the PM said about your leader.
It's absolute nonsense. I mean, they're frip chopper. We're on 35% in some of the polls. It looks like we've got a good chance of winning the next election. We swept the board during the local elections this year. We had a very, very good result in Caerphilly. If that had been proportional representation in Caerphilly, we'd have won 3 seats there. So they're frip. They know in Wales next year they've got a mammoth task on their hands, and the Labour Party in Wales next year could become irrelevant.
Just finally, why was Nigel Farage in the chamber? We thought he was on strike.
He's not on strike. He's always here. He puts a shift in. He had a bit of a one-man demonstration last week. We don't think it's fair that a party with 4.1 million votes hardly ever gets a question in the chamber. He's making a point. I think, and more importantly, Chopper, we're not allowed on select committees, draft legislation committees or bill committees. I think that democracy in this place is failing Reform and its supporters at this moment.
Okay. Lee Anderson, thank you for joining us there. Lee Anderson, of course, there, worried about tax and also attacking that government for that £500 payment to the Epping sex attacker, now, of course, in Ethiopia.